I've never had anything like that. Every person in the world is eating and drinking products of fermentation. Fermentation makes food safer than it is raw.
Hi, Sandro.
So happy to be here with you.
My question is, who is Sandor Katz? Who is Sandor Katz for right now? And just tell me a little about.
Okay, sure. So I was born and raised in New York City. My family background is all Eastern European. My father's family mostly from Lithuania. My mother's family all from Belarus. You know, as a kid, I've always loved to eat food. I've always been adventurous, like to try different things. But as a kid, one of my very favorite food was pickles. You know, they're very common in New York because there was so much migration from Eastern Europe. But, you know, the pickles we have in New York are like, you know, whole cucumbers fermented with a lot of garlic and dill. You know, in the rest of the U.S., this is kind of unusual. Most people in the U.S. think of a pickle as something kind of sweet. But I grew up with these like sour pickles that are, you know, similar to what I've tried in my visits to Eastern Europe. So I really feel like the pickles are what first drew me to the flavors of fermentation. Even though, I mean, I wasn't thinking about how they were made, I just loved the way they tasted. When I was about 30 years old, I left New York and I moved to Tennessee, a rural part of Tennessee.
Okay.
And, you know, I was really ready for something completely different in my life. And one of the big changes at that time is I started gardening. And, you know, I was such a naive city kid from New York. I never even thought about the idea that all of the cabbages are ready at about the same time. All of the cucumbers are ready at about the same time. And so the first year that I was gardening, suddenly I recognized that, like, you know, sauerkraut and pickles were not only delicious to eat, but they were a practical strategy for preservation. Okay. So first I learned how to make sauerkraut, which is really straightforward and very simple. Later on, I learned how to make the kind of sour pickles that I grew up eating. But then also I learned how to make yogurt.
Oh.
I learned how to make some very simple wines from overabundant fruits like blackberries. And even that first year, I found this book called The Book of Miso. And I learned how to make miso. So I just became kind of obsessed with all things fermented and started just experimenting in my kitchen. Always showing up at my friends' houses with, you know, funny fermented foods that I had made. And, you know, and then eventually I got invited to teach a workshop. First I self-published a small booklet. And as soon as I did that, I realized, oh, this is really interesting. I have a lot to say. I have a lot to learn. And so I wrote a book. And then, you know, now I've written like 5 books about fermentation. I get invited to places like Portugal and other places to teach about fermentation. So I call myself a fermentation revivalist.
That's a great name, actually.
You know, fermentation, everybody has a casual relationship with fermentation, whether they're thinking about it or not. But, you know, many people like just have never thought about it, or if they have thought about it, maybe it makes them feel anxious because they've been taught to be so fearful of bacteria.
Oh, okay.
So, you know, I've really been on a mission to demystify fermentation and, you know, make it accessible to people. So that's part of who Sandor Katz is. Of course, you know, I've other interests beyond fermentation, but, you know, really like my work and my primary focus in recent decades has been fermentation.
Wow, that's actually amazing. Okay, so when you find yourself in gardening, do you remember the first plant that you were planted? Like,
Radishes.
Radishes. Why?
Well, because the gardening season that we have in Tennessee, which generally begins in March,
Okay.
the first thing you plant and the first thing that comes up is radishes.
Ah, I see.
The small radishes
Of
just
course.
take like 3 to 4 weeks to grow. So, we also plant things at that time that take months to grow. But, I remember that first year we started with radishes and, compared to other things you grow in a garden, radishes are immediate gratification because
I
you just have
see.
to wait a few weeks.
Yeah, of course. Was it hard for you to start in something new?
What is hard for me
Yeah,
to like
start planting to make this stuff. So you won't be near that topic, as I understand, right?
Yeah, I mean, I love to plant new things.
Okay.
Not everything will grow in every climate. So, for instance, when I was teaching in Peru, they had these like really beautiful chilies.
Oh, wow.
In Peru, and somebody gave me some seeds, and I tried planting the Peruvian chilies, but I never have been able to get those to grow.
Unfortunately,
in
yeah.
Tennessee. But every year I try some new things. This year I'm actually planting something that's I'm growing for the first time, something that's very common here in Portugal, which is cardoon.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So far, I mean, when I left home a week and a half ago, they were looking really healthy and beautiful. And I'm hoping that the plants have gotten much bigger since I left.
That's actually amazing because I'm the person who will never have a garden because every plant I touched, it's dead. it's almost dead.
Same.
Yeah. So I can't do it. So I'm always curious how to do it, like in a big places, like a garden, like your own stuff. So you're making your own stuff, and then you're pickling it or do some fermentation with that. That's actually amazing story.
Yeah, I mean, in the winter I grow, or in the autumn, I love to grow daikon.
Oh, wow.
Daikon, the Korean mu radishes, but like the just big radishes. Those are so wonderful for fermentation.
And it takes longer, right? Than the
Yeah.
regular
That's why you plant them in the late summer to grow through the autumn, and then we harvest them in Tennessee in the early winter. But there's so many different ways of fermenting a daikon. I make daikon kimchi. I make this Japanese daikon pickle called takwan that's fermented in rice bran. With salt, but first you dry the daikon in the sun so that they become pliable, and you can sort of make a spiral of the daikons in the fermentation vessel.
Amazing.
We try to see it's incredible.
Really?
Yes. The last 4 days we have a camp with all people who love fermentation, like it's Fermentation Academy. What do you feel after that? Because we have a lot of people, just for me, there's a lot of people with different industries, not only about chefs, and about people who make kombucha, who make bread, who think about some microbiology, about anything. How do you feel after these 4 days?
I mean, I feel very energized. I mean, for me, it was very fun. I mean, first of all, I wasn't teaching the whole time. There was an amazing team. So, we were all taking turns presenting different topics. For me, it's always interesting to see how other people present information about fermentation, because this is what I do all the time, but it's really refreshing to hear different approaches. And, our group was, there was so much geographic diversity. We had people, people from, Ukraine, Latvia, Romania, Portugal, Spain, Germany, Australia, Chile, Puerto Rico, Argentina, Brazil. It was like an incredible international group.
All world in one place.
And then also we had as you said, we had some chefs, we had a microbiologist, we had food scientists, we had farmers, we had people who are herbalists and concerned primarily with the effect of food on our health and well-being. There's a woman from Serbia who was sharing some of her ancestral foods. It was incredible, and for me, it was really energizing and. I had a great time. I hope you and the others who participated had as good a time as I did.
Yeah, unfortunately I wasn't there, but when I came today's morning, I was really, really surprised that in Portugal, in the middle of nowhere, like in the country, in a village, you just collect all of these amazing people from around the world, and all of them are really connected to the fermentation. So, do you think that fermentation is much more about the future of the culinary world?
Well, I think I think the past, the present, and the future all involve fermentation. To me, it's very exciting that, so many people who never have thought about fermentation before are getting excited about fermentation. But the reality is that, every person in the world is eating and drinking products of fermentation. And it's just so, it's such an important part of culinary traditions everywhere. And, it was as important or perhaps more important in the time of our great-grandparents and their great-grandparents than it is today. But, even though, in our time, so many fewer people are directly involved in any kind of food production that food is a little bit mysterious to people. And so, people might drink wine, people might eat bread, people might eat cheese, people might enjoy, the amazing flavors of fermented condiments. People eat chocolate, people drink coffee, but most people are not thinking much about how these products are made.
Of course.
But, from my perspective, the reason why fermentation is practiced and so central to food traditions everywhere is the simple reality that we now can recognize of biodiversity, that all of the plants that we eat, all of the animal products that we eat are host to so many different kinds of microorganisms. So there's a certain inevitability to microbial transformation of food. And of course, not every microbial transformation of food results in something delicious that we are excited to eat. But, ancestors in every part of the world learned how to, sort of guide the fermentation. You don't have to be a microbiologist. You don't need a laboratory. You don't need a microscope. People learned through observation, through trial and error, based on results.
Yeah.
What conditions create something really delicious and safe?
Yes.
And what conditions create something that nobody would ever want to put into their mouths?
Yeah, of course. And in ancient time, it was about the preservation, of course. So we just tried to keep some food for a future because we didn't know if we will have some food to eat tomorrow. So
exactly. Well, and that continues to be true today. I mean, we have more elaborate systems to bring us food, but as you know from your home country, I mean, there's all kinds of ways that these elaborate systems can be disrupted. And
exactly.
So, really, having some food stored for the future is, a really important form of security for people.
Yeah, for sure. And for now, I think the security process of fermentation is more evaluated because we have laboratories, we have everything that we can check. So in restaurant industry, I think it's one of the most important things to make it clear and clean for the people.
Right, not to mention delicious.
Of course. I am the people of numbers, so I need to see the numbers.
What do you think actually right now it's a little bit complicated in the world? Like when you like, and one of things if you eat some kind of like fermented product, like how do you say, like cheese, like wine, like bread, it's okay for customers. But if you start doing something in the restaurant, you like destroying minds. You say, oh no, it's a little bit hard for me. How do you think we have like this situation right now in the world? Just for you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to me, so, in different parts of the world, the, notions of like food safety and how food is regulated and restaurants are regulated it can be very different. But, in the United States where I live and have spent most of my time, the central, dogma of restaurant food safety is you have to discard any food that sits between I know it in Fahrenheit, but in Celsius maybe between like 4 degrees and 60 degrees.
Yeah.
If it sits in that range for more than 4 hours, you have to discard it. And of course, that's every fermented food and beverage. Wine sits in that temperature range for more than 4 hours. Cheese sits in that temperature range for more than 4 hours. Bread, I mean, some styles of bread don't sit for more than 4 hours, but many delicious styles of bread sit for longer than 4 hours. Certainly miso, soy sauce, even things that people don't even realize are fermented, like, coffee and chocolate, sit in that temperature range for more than 4 hours. So, I think that sometimes, these ideas of food safety are unrealistic. I mean, 4 hours makes sense for like a piece of fish that's been cooked, and is sitting at that temperature. It can become dangerous after 4 hours, but, humanity has developed a lot of like very, some great wisdom about, how to keep the fermentation safe. So, I know a lot of restaurants who have to work really hard to convince the people inspecting them that what they're doing is safe. And one of the things that I really loved about the retreat was that we had so many people whose work is in food safety who are interested in this. And it's really like educating people in the field of food safety, to recognize the inherent safety of so many of these traditional fermentations. And then, sometimes people are doing non-traditional things where they're applying some kind of traditional style of fermentation to, unusual or experimental ingredients, and still that traditional wisdom of keeping food safe applies.
Oh, this gets curious actually. Yeah. Okay, if we are talking about safety, so do you have like 3 words or 3 rules to make the fermentation safe?
Sure. Clean hands, clean tools. Make sure you are understanding the conditions you have to create. Like fermentation is all about creating the conditions that encourage the growth of the kinds of organisms you want, and simultaneously discourage the growth of the organisms that you don't want. So, for instance, when you ferment vegetables, like, these vegetables up here, keeping them submerged, that's what keeps it safe. When you're, fermenting, nuts or beans in something like miso, using adequate salt. But whatever it is, trying to make sure you understand the conditions that will encourage the growth of the organisms you want, which always means you're also discouraging the growth of the organisms that you don't want. So I think just like making sure that you understand the parameters is the most important thing.
How do you personally see future for fermentation? I mean, what do you think how it can change from the next 2 or 3 years with some I don't know. You try right now like a lot of like things, like a lot of country who make something different, like, and fermentation world changes like almost every year, like.
Well, I mean, mostly I would say I see a lot of exciting experimentation. Okay, let's take something like miso.
Yeah.
So miso has an ancient tradition, thousands of years in Japan, but it's always like fermenting beans with koji on a grain. And that's delicious. That's wonderful. But, as, more chefs, some of them with, incredible visions, are making miso. People are demonstrating that you can make really delicious miso from lots of different things beyond beans and grains.
Yes.
And so, I learned how to make miso 30 some years ago, and the first, 20 years I only made it with beans and grains. But then just, seeing what other people are experimenting with, I talked a lot during the workshop about my chicken feet miso. I also make, an idea that I took directly from this wonderful book, Koji Alchemy.
Yes.
I make ricotta cheese miso, which is just incredibly delicious. I've made tomato miso. I'm really inspired by a lot of the experimentation. And then, of course, just because of this moment, when we're alive, a chef in Lisbon who's experimenting and posting pictures on Instagram, can be inspiring a chef in Buenos Aires or a chef in South Africa so there's all of this like exciting cross-pollination and people being inspired by the creativity of other people who are experimenting with fermentation. So I would expect we'll just see more experimentation, more diversification of the kinds of fermented products, and for me that's very exciting.
Okay. Okay.
What is this?
Then the kitchen legs, the chicken legs. Yeah.
Oh, the chicken
legs.
legs.
Yeah,
Oh, I see. Okay, got it.
Okay. Kitchen legs. Kitchen legs. Like when we're talking about the small kids, we're talking about like a small legs are going by the kitchen. The kitchen legs.
We make team miso.
Garum.
Wow. Okay, a little bit funny.
Let's keep it.
No. What is it? Okay. You're a person who tried like a lot of fermentation. Like I actually can imagine like how much like different product you can try for 1 year. What one was a disgusting one you tried? And one was a tasty one you tried?
Sure. I've tried some things, like once a friend of mine did a lacto fermentation of bamboo shoots, and and bamboo shoots sometimes it turns out have toxic compounds, and so you need to cook them before you eat them. And my friend didn't know this, and I didn't know this. So, when I tasted her fermented bamboo shoots, it was horrible. And I just had to spit it out into my hand because it was so terrible. So, sometimes, sometimes things just are wrong. Okay. But I will say, there's very few things that like I've hated. Some of the, let's say, kombuchas that I've tried are much more exciting and interesting than the others. But even like the worst ones that I've tasted haven't been like so terrible, just maybe like too sweet or, something like that. I have not really had many like terrible fermentations.
Really?
I would say it, sometimes people's fermented vegetables are just way too salty for me. Okay. So sometimes there can be issues like that. But I mean, I really haven't had a lot of terrible fermentations, honestly.
Maybe there is a day when you will have. So maybe let's try something from ours. Sorry, chef.
Let's see after 3 hours.
So what do we have here? It's all from our kitchen, right?
Yeah. For me, actually, very interesting if you try and say what do you think. Small part you try right now, and okay, so you want to try go like step by step?
Yeah, sure. Well, I'll just do one at a time, because if you tell me what all 10 of them are,
Yeah.
I won't remember by the
So
end.
this is 4 kind of garum.
Okay.
Like we go with light and darker. So this one, it's egg white garum.
Okay, that's very
It's very young. We actually make new test. It's like maybe 1 month. And this one, shrimp's blood garum.
Okay, wow.
It's like 1 year. This both, it's some kind of meat garum. White one, it's kebab. We like make.
Oh, you were
Yeah,
telling me about this one. Yeah, okay.
And this one, it's one of my favorite. It's beef garum. I think I tell the two mixed like 5 or 6 different kind of meat, and for me it tastes like well, maybe I can say like young prosciutto or young hamon. So it's very intensive, very strong umami. This one, it's that kind of miso. One is the old one.
Okay.
It's beetroot and nuts.
Okay, so this one's a 5-year-old miso. That's impressive. Yeah.
I have one more, but I'm not sure what can find him. It's peas miso, what I make when I still be in Ukraine, when I just started make fermentation. I think right now it's 7 years old.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, I think after podcast I give you a try, but I really hope. This one with the young, it's more like shiro miso. It's miso with lemon skin, with lentils. It's one of my favorite in lacto fermentation. It's horseradish. Actually, I have a jar there. I show you after. It's 1 year.
I'm gonna start with
Yeah,
this
you
one.
can start. So
Okay.
it's a little bit too salty because we want to be safe for ourselves. But yeah, it's again. It's
Okay, what was this one again?
egg white.
Egg white.
It's egg white. Yeah, like
Yeah. No, I mean it has a very rich flavor for having such a simple base. And of course what we know about this kind of fermentation is that the fermentation breaks down the protein, and when you
Yeah.
break down protein, that's what gives you umami flavor. So I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
I think that's really delicious. Now
Yeah.
this one's shrimp's blood.
shrimps and blood.
Shrimp and blood.
Yeah, that was
Okay.
my question. Where did you find the blood in the shrimps? So,
See team right now. I think this can be too salty, so
Might.
just try a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's too salty. I think it's like 16% salt because we want to be safe in this situation. And we heated him like for I think 60, 70 degrees. So yeah, it's like nice, but we're right now safe and see how we can use him in the future. But I think we're almost ready. We have it some dish.
Yeah, well, I mean, one thing, if the high salt, you're right, is really important for safety in a really high protein substrate like that. But there's no reason you can't dilute it a little bit at the
Okay.
point when you serve it.
Yep.
You're preserving the thing with the high salt, but if you find it to be excessively salty, diluting it, yeah.
Yeah, but this one actually you try today in shrimps XO. We added him in there for
Yeah.
for more.
No, and I think that's perfect. I mean, these things don't have to always stand alone. I mean, sometimes they're better when you're sort of like building flavor as one element with others. Okay, now this one.
So this one it's kebab.
Oh,
Like we
so what was the story about kebab garum?
story about kebab. A lot of months ago we have like a kebab in the menu. It's just mix beef and pork with a lot of spices. And this be called seasonal. We don't sell a lot, but we still have like 5 kilo meat.
Oh yeah, no, you can taste like the roasted flavor of them. Yeah.
Yeah, so and this is meat with spices. And one moment we think, okay, what would be if we make it garum with some meat, but with spice, with salt, with like normal what? Because for that moment we read like a lot of information about how you can make garum, and normally you just like use raw meat or raw fish without any flavor. And this will be our first experiment when you can like make it garum, but with spices. So and after that, when we try, it's something incredible. Right now, I think it can be more stronger because I feel like almost 1 year. When you like,
And do you do these at ambient temperature, or do you do them at an elevated temperature?
so how we do it normally? Like we have like okay, we put in the jar this all product like, and we save like we leave it him in the room temperature like for 3-4 months. This only if we think about some meat garum or something like this. And when we think okay, we want to stop at the process, we put him in the proofer for 1 week for 50 degrees. After that, like protein starts working, he like separate much more better when we need. He caramelize it. We filter it and heat it for 80 degrees. So we kill like all bacteria, and after that we can save him. Like imagine, I think this one is what you try next. He stay in this jar maybe like I don't know 3-4 months, and you don't have like any mold. He don't change the flavor, so he like clean like meat flavor. So in the end like temperature it's like 18, and we can be safe.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
and kebab, it's
Yeah.
like, it's almost one.
Okay, I wonder just because maybe there's people who are watching or listening to this who don't know what garum is.
What is garum? Can you?
So yeah, sure. So I mean, garum actually is two different things. So you know, in the ancient world, it was like the name throughout the Roman Empire for fish sauce.
Oh.
So it was basically like, you know, small fish like you know, anchovies or sardines, the entire fish with their intestines and salt, nothing else. And then, you know, the enzymes in the intestines decompose the fish.
Course.
And so it's not so much preserving fish, it's decomposing fish, so you have like the essence of the fish as a sauce. So, you know, nobody adds water. It's just like fish and salt, and then you end up with this like really strong flavored and quite salty liquid. So that's traditional garum.
Okay.
Then, you know, in the restaurant world, I think really initiated, you know, first initiated by Noma, you know, because I think this idea was really popularized in the Noma book about fermentation. Garum has become known as, you know, mostly any kind of animal. Whether it's raw, whether it's cooked, you know, insects, fish, mammals. But now I've also been seeing people doing it with mushrooms, with other kinds of vegetables. You know, I've had beautiful garum made out of the skin of celery root.
Wow.
Yeah.
But you know, any kind of like, you know, byproduct, or you could just take entire vegetables and make garum, but it's, you know, whatever the flavoring, the protein or the vegetable mixed with koji, salt, and some water. And you know, frequently it's done at a high temperature because the koji enzymes are most active when you get close to 60 degrees.
Okay.
So 60 degrees is kind of a magic number with koji, and it speeds everything up. You know, or you can just do it at you know, whatever your room temperature is, and the process goes more slowly, and then, you know, I would argue that you get greater flavor complexity because in addition to the enzymes from the koji, you're getting lactic bacteria, you're getting some yeasts, and so then it becomes a little bit more like a traditional soy sauce,
Yes.
where, you know, in it where you get the enzymatic breakdown, but then also the byproducts of these other fermentations. So, you know, trade-offs. You know, I mean, traditional fermentation can be very slow. Traditional soy sauce generally takes a year or even longer. Sometimes in a restaurant context, time is money. So, you
Yes.
can't devote the space for so long. So it can be, very helpful to speed things up. And then, of course, some people, I don't really have concerns about safety with the lactic bacteria and the yeast. I think in general, lactic bacteria, by making food more acidic, makes food safer. But, certainly some people are nervous about allowing for like a long fermentation at a lower temperature.
Of course, yeah.
But, all these garums made out of, different protein sources, like really have extraordinary flavor, and each one is different, and you really get like the essence of something different expressed in them.
Actually, I was really surprised when I find out that the garums, it's some products from the ancient Europe, and as well we have the same technology in Asian countries. So how do they do like their fermentation, their preservation processes in the same time in different types of like different parts of the world? That's really incredible. Okay, I think let's do the next.
Yeah. So
Which one is next?
Okay, well, I haven't tried
Yeah.
this one. Okay.
Beef.
Okay, so this is the mixed beef.
Yes, it's one of my favorite. To be honest, like it's so strong, it's so salty.
Yeah.
I really love added this like for cabbage, for stewed cabbage. Yes.
Oh yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
oh yeah, that's like music in my mouth. No, there's so much going on. I mean, this is what can be so exciting about fermentation is like, so many different flavors like on your tongue at the same time.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's
I
really-
really love how it goes slowly. I very love added him for vegetables, like for cabbage, for mushroom. I know you can glaze it onion with them. It's something amazing. Okay, so
I think in our menu we use just two of these
we
garums,
use,
right?
Our menu we use egg white and shrimps. Shrimps we added for shrimp sixo and egg white
For the mushroom
white,
umami.
mushroom.
Yeah.
But it's like so. Go with me.
Okay.
You
Yeah,
ready?
sure.
You want to try?
Yeah, I want to see what these are.
Yeah.
What is
So-
that? It's very.
Tell
it's
the
very-
story, tell the story,
it's
please.
It's very intriguing. I can't even
That's
guess
fine.
what it is.
To be honest, it's not some kind of hard fermentation. It's cordyceps.
Okay.
Yeah, mushroom zombie. It's I find actually when I work with Diego Prado, he showed me this product. I'm very surprised at what you can eat this, because he just pickled it. He added like vinegar and sugar and give me a try. I said, okay, it's tastes like apple. It's very interesting. So, go on.
Okay.
You can be safe, no worry.
No zombies at this restaurant.
Maybe. Yeah, it's. Yeah. Well, it's acidic, a little bit sweet, and have like some soil flavor.
Yeah, and what a beautiful texture. It's really it's a very unexpected texture. I like that.
It's like a little bit chewy, but I really love this.
I mean, chewy is not a bad thing.
Yes,
Chewy
yes.
is.
You know, actually, what? I'll be honest. Like we try a lot of in a camp, we try a lot of lacto-fermented product, and I find something for me like I don't love so crunchy. I love crunchy like cucumber or maybe like cabbage, but if you use some kind of like radish, it can be like too much. So
Yeah.
for me, like maybe something like this is very good.
The interplay of textures in food, and it's one of the things that makes me just like so in love with Chinese cuisine, because they they just use texture so much and embrace a lot of different kinds of textures, and then the contrast between different textures in a single dish. And that's something I really like. But that's a very pleasing texture for me.
I want to try this one. It's so.
Okay, so this is horseradish. Okay,
This is
horseradish.
horseradish.
This is one of my very favorite foods.
I hope right now you'll be surprised.
Okay.
I
Oh
think
wow! I mean, so how did you prepare this? Because I mean, I expected it to be
Yes.
more fibrous, like
Yes.
like your fermentation really like broke down the fiber.
Yeah,
To
exactly.
be honest, it just took that's what we do with resolve. It's 2% salt, liquid, and that's all.
And how did you? So when I work with horseradish, generally I grate it,
Yeah,
and I
I
end
know
up
this.
with
Yes,
smaller
yes.
pieces. What kind of tool do you use to sort of separate it into these like fibers?
I can show you. We normally we just like cut at him like big slices, like no, not slices, like
Cubes?
tubes. Yes,
Yeah.
like tubes, and just like covers him in water and salt and leave it, and that's all.
Okay.
But why he changed the texture? Because I think we saved him. I think 1 year.
Okay.
So what's the cool with this? It's like that what I not
Also,
expect.
I want to taste the
You-
juice. This
try-
is
try it.
the brine. This
Yeah.
is just the
So
brine.
what's the
from it?
cool? What's the very cool? Normally, you're like professional. Like if you make some kind of like lacto fermentation, it's in general it's like 7 days or 2 weeks. Some can be different. Like if you look for the product, if you try this one, stay in the room temperature still 1 year. You don't have any mold. He don't have like nothing's bad. Like he's okay. And I don't know. Maybe it's some kind of bitter bacteria like kill something. But he changed the texture. He changed the flavor. And right now for me it tastes like.
And the brine really picks up the horseradish taste
Yeah.
really nicely.
For me it tastes like if you mix just horseradish with cream, like so
Yeah.
you feel like milk flavor and you feel just like first horseradish flavor, but not bitter. So it's really like we put him in the jar and we try him like after half a year and we'll be very surprised like okay it can work like this. And it's first like lacto fermentation stay like for me, like it's this in the jar and
Okay.
nothing's happened. Like,
Okay, I'm gonna try this.
I can make vacuum if you want.
I'm gonna wait until the fall and harvest. I have lots of horseradish in the garden.
Really?
And usually the hard part for me is like grating it is so much
Yes.
work,
Yes,
and
I
I get
know.
overwhelmed. But
It's a smell like
I'm gonna try just cutting it into cubes like
yeah,
that.
it's really work, and we make it test twice. So because first of all, we put it in jar like for 1 year. After that, I think okay, we can make second test with him. We find new horseradish, we put him in the jar, and we do the same process. Any mold, fermentation started and finished after 2 weeks, and there you just like if you make pickled water. Like with sugar, vinegar, salt, like this one, and you just like save product like in a cold space. It works the same. I don't know why. Maybe it's really some kind of bacteria in horseradish like kill all. But yeah, it's very interesting. Try miso. So yeah.
Okay, so this
So
first
go with maybe light miso.
Okay.
It's Mike make it. Yeah, he make him maybe half years ago or like. No, we don't have a jar.
Okay. So is
sour
this some sort of seafood?
No, it's I broke.
What's this? Lentils?
So yeah, it's lentils
Okay.
with lemon zest.
Okay, the lemon zest. Okay.
Yeah. And right now, actually, after Koji masterclass, we think we have a lot of preserved lemon, maybe like 5 or 10 kilo, and we wanna use it him and make new kind of miso. Like so, we think we can. I think so. We can mix it to kind of fermentation, like preserve, like just like Marcan lemon, and miso fermentation. So we want to buy like just fresh beans or something like this, mix it him together. Don't add it any salt because
Because the lemons are so
Yeah.
salty. Yeah.
just mix it him with koji. Maybe we make like few tests. We make some kind of rice koji or maybe barley koji. So you can see like what's happened. So it's very light.
Yeah. No, I like it. I like how lemony it is. It's funny when I smelled it, I thought it was some kind of seafood, but it was really the lemon that was making me think that.
My
Good
God.
one?
Oh, it's salty.
It is salty. But preserved lemons are salty.
Yeah, yeah.
But that seems like a good way to incorporate the preserved
Yeah,
lemons.
yeah.
I've never had anything like that.
It can work. Yeah. I prefer more sweet. What?
But isn't it the idea of this type of food, like miso food, like to be salty, to add it to the dishes?
Some kind of like. Well, you know.
Well, you need it to be salty.
Yeah.
Because to preserve beans, high protein substrate, you need a lot of salt.
Of course.
Otherwise, it'll break down with all of these like off flavors and potentially dangerous. So, you need a certain amount of salt. And the longer you intend to age the miso, the more salt you use. So there's styles of miso. There's styles of miso that are short-term misos that use much less salt, and then other styles that use much heavier salt because they're fermented for longer.
I think we make it some kind of nuts miso a lot of years ago, like maybe 5 when we just gone to Portugal, and after that we have some kind of beetroot leftovers. So I think so with this one because I think we mixed him together. If not, it just if not, it's just like beetroot miso. And I think we use barley. Yeah, maybe barley for him. Actually,
But better not to have for people who has nut allergy.
yeah. Oh, okay. No, it's strong.
Yeah.
Want to try?
Of course.
It's nice. I'm trying to find the beetroot flavor in
I'm
there.
not sure you'll find. Yeah. Because for myself, I'm open some interesting solution when you want to save flavor. Like in my head, it's work like this. If you make it miso, imagine like you make bucket miso, yeah? That's what I learned from my guys. You make timeline, this 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, and 1 year. And if you want a more like imagine buckwheat flavor, you stop at the process in 1 month. You still have like a nice saltiness, you still have a nice sweetness, you still feel on the buckwheat. If you want a little bit more stronger, you make like 3 months. In that case, you have like more salty, less sweet, but still feel on the product. If you want a more like dark caramelized miso, like have a full Maillard reaction, you forgot about him in the shells and have something like this.
Yeah.
Because previously I make, I think edamame miso. It be something incredible. Really, it tastes like Parmesan cheese. It be so amazing. But this will be only 3 months. After 6 months, it be more like this. So it's be not so sweet. It's be more salty and more like umami flavor.
So that's you're acting like a enologist who are just trying to figure out what wine they want to have after some fermentation processes. So they are trying the wine after some macerations, after some like fermentation time, and they just decide what to do with that next. To I don't know, to make some like sparkling wine, to make some like still wine, white wine, anything. Like we have a lot of wines here that was produced by the natural fermentation with low in mentrin, and it's really interesting how they are mixed with our food because we use a lot of fermentation here. So especially me, I know a lot about wines. So here we have like curtimenta. That is in Portuguese. It's like about orange wine that makes with a skin contact. And when I'm hearing about the timelines, I'm like, I'm composing this with the wine production because it's a similar process. So you just trying to figure out what you want to have at the end, and you can stop the process in any time. So it's
and of course, winemaking is a fermentation,
Of course.
and it's not altogether different.
yeah, a lot of similar things.
And the same way that like
What is this?
some winemakers are blending different batches together, you can do the same thing with other kinds of fermentation.
Of course.
And, if you ferment it for different lengths of time, you get very different results. Okay, this is what, garlic?
No, actually no. Ah, my God. It's actually I don't try this. Can I be first? Okay. It smells.
Always.
It smells. It smells. I think you love the smells. Right?
Yeah.
I want to be sure it is good. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, it's good.
But what is it?
It's fig.
Oh, it's a
It's green
fig.
fig, yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
It's green fig. I think when it's still young, you know, like green tomato.
Yeah.
It's too strong. But this in a jar, we put it
Okay, yeah. I mean,
before.
where I live, we often have green figs because, you know, sometimes in the winter the fig plant dies down, but the roots stay alive, and then it generates new growth, and then in the middle of the summer it makes some new figs, but the season's not long enough for them to get completely ripe. So this is just like lacto fermented green fig.
Yeah, and actually, what's interesting, like he stay in the jar the same like horseradish. So we just like make it a little simple lacto in water, and I just forgot about him. Like, and something's happened like, in there. It's good. I'm trying. It's really tasty. For me, it tastes really like nice tomato. Like, it's kind of mine is the same flavor. It's like not so salty, not so sweet. It's so delicate. Like, actually, I'm not expecting this.
Yeah. Well, that's really delicious. Okay.
Nice.
That's good. Yeah, of course.
I would say there's no vegetable, there's no fruit that you cannot ferment.
It's true.
Even flowers. I was really surprised that we can ferment flowers. Especially we have vinegar from the roses, right? Somewhere. Yeah.
Sure. No, roses are beautiful. I mean, I actually have a Ukrainian friend in the U.S. who makes the most beautiful rose kombucha.
Oh wow.
So she she makes the kombucha with sweet tea and the SCOBY, and then after she takes it off the SCOBY, she puts it in the bottle just with all of these rose petals, and it's just like the most beautiful, aromatic kombucha.
Wow.
So, Dasha, I hope you're watching this.
Hello, Dasha. So you use a lot of fermentation, and what about your daily food? So what is your favorite?
It's Sandor Katz.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So your perfect dinner. Let's be like this.
I mean, the thing is, it's not one single thing. Like, part of what I love about food is like how varied it is. So, I mean, I love vegetables. I mean, I love meat, but a meal never feels complete to me if I don't have some vegetables. So,
okay.
I love all different kinds of vegetables. I like to really vary it and mix it up. I like to explore different cuisines. I love Indian food, Indian cuisine.
Yes.
I make a lot of dals. I love beans, all kinds of beans, but I love eating dals. I love to make dosas, which are these very simple, crepes made from a fermented batter of rice and lentils. I love to make I love mix things that are chicken and rice. Sometimes I'll make a Latin American style chicken and rice. Wow. But I learned recently a Chinese method that's completely different for chicken and rice. So those are elements that I mix together quite a bit. I love to experiment with cooking. I love to look in cookbooks. I'm almost completely unable to completely follow a recipe, but I love to look at recipes, and I find a lot of inspiration.
Totally understand.
In recipes. I like using different kinds of grains. I mean, I love to eat rice, but I also love quinoa.
Oh, yeah.
I love millet. I love buckwheat. I really, really love buckwheat. So, I mean, for me, a perfect meal is eating different things every day. Like I love experimenting. Of course, I have a garden, so a lot of
Yeah.
it is driven by, what vegetables are ready in the garden at different times. In the wintertime, I love like what we call winter squash,
Oh,
things
yeah.
like pumpkins
Oh.
and butternut squash and things like that. I love sweet potatoes. Sweet potatoes I just do really, really plain. I just like to bake the sweet potatoes until they're so soft.
Like a creamy, yeah. That's
Yeah.
good.
No, I love that. But really, how I got into all of this is that, like, I just love food. I love flavors. I love eating. I love colors in food. I love to have like a plate where there's like a lot of different kinds of colors. I love beetroots. The classic red ones, but also I love those bright yellow beetroots. So yeah, it's always impossible for me to like pick like my favorite meal, my favorite. I love
course.
eggs. Like for breakfast, almost every day I like to eat eggs, and I eat fermented vegetables with everything. I mean, I think that, I always have a variety of different kinds of fermented vegetables around, some sauerkraut, some kimchi, some fermented radishes. But I love to, just even with my breakfast with some eggs, I love to have like a little bit of fermented vegetables. I think, almost everything is enhanced by them.
This is amazing. So, as I know that fermented food is really helpful for your digestive system, and right now people are start to realize that it's really, really good for your health. What do you think about it?
Well, I mean, absolutely.
Okay.
So, I mean, fermented foods, there are so many practical benefits to fermentation. So, we've already been talking about food preservation. And, I think throughout history, that's been, maybe the most important benefit for people because, of course, until the 20th century, nobody had a refrigerator.
Exactly.
And still, even in the 21st century, many people around the world don't have a refrigerator in their homes. So, effective strategies for preservation, really, is how people survive. And fermentation is a big part of that everywhere. Alcohol, you might or might not agree that alcohol is practical, but, people love alcohol, and the only way any alcohol is ever produced is through the magic of fermentation.
Yes.
And then, health benefits, I think that, the folklore of, in many different parts of the world, like recognized, like before there was like scientific validation, how, important different fermented foods could be to maintaining good health. But, more and more science is recognizing that, and I think that this is one of the reasons why we're seeing, so much renewed interest in fermentation is that, there is greater recognition that bacteria are critical to our health and well-being. That, every, healthy human being is host to trillions, just mind-boggling numbers of bacteria in great biodiversity. Except that, in our modern lives, we have exposure to a lot of chemicals, antibiotic drugs, chlorine, agricultural chemicals, and, these things can diminish biodiversity in the gut. And in addition, most people are eating much less fiber than their ancestors do because we have more heavily processed foods, and fiber supports the bacteria in our intestinal system. So, with diminished biodiversity, many people are having more problems with digestion, more problems with their immune systems. And so, you know, I would say, you know, the single greatest benefit of fermented foods is, you know, helping us restore biodiversity, improve digestion, improve overall immune function.
Yes.
And then beyond that, there are some, you know, really interesting, unique metabolic byproducts as a result of the fermentation. And, you know, it turns out that, you know, some of these metabolic byproducts actually have, you know, extraordinary therapeutic potentials. So, you know, I think that there are a lot of, like, you know, different potential benefits to fermented foods. And, you know, of course, most fermented foods have a lot of fiber as well. So, you know, in addition to getting the probiotics, the, you know, bacteria that can that can help us, we're also getting fiber, the food for the bacteria in our intestines. So, I think that there's a lot of potential benefits. Another one is pre-digestion, the idea that before you eat the food, it's being partially digested, and in many cases, that means we can get more nutrients out of the food. So, for instance, with you know, well-fermented breads or other kinds of fermented grains and beans, the minerals that are in the grains and beans, that if we simply cook them, our digestion cannot extract because they're tied in these chemical bonds. But when we ferment the food, when we pre-digest it, the fermentation can break down those bonds and make all of the nutrition in the food more accessible to us.
Yeah, of course.
So I think that there are, you know, some really important health benefits. Now, you know, I will also say that, you know, sometimes the people promoting particular fermented foods make you know, unsupported claims about health benefits. And, you know, I mean, fermentation is not a magic bullet that, like, will solve all of our problems, you know, even though many people wish it were. But I think that, you know, as a group, these foods, you know, really can. And I've, you know, I've heard so much, you know, anecdotal feedback supporting this idea that, you know, a lot of people who have lived with chronic digestive problems, when they start incorporating some live fermented foods into their diet, you know, after a while, they start feeling like their digestion is improving.
Exactly. So, you tried our food in our restaurant at the plate. How did you find it?
Oh, I mean, it was delicious. I mean, I had a shrimp and scallop sandwich, and it was so delicious. And I'll say my favorite aspect of it was the XO sauce, the condiments. You know, I mean, homemade condiments, you know, with, you know, sort of deep umami flavors, just really adds so much to food. So I really enjoyed that sandwich, and I've certainly enjoyed trying all of your other ferments. It's so exciting to be in a restaurant that's, you know, experimenting so much, and you know, making such good use of these ferments. And you know, I guess the last thing I would say to people who are listening and watching is try fermenting yourself at home. You know, I mean, a lot of people like project all of their anxiety about bacteria onto the idea of fermentation. And you know, the first time I taught a sauerkraut making workshop was in 1998, almost 30 years ago. And I realized how much fear there was. And, you know, really my mission is to try to take some of the fear away. And, you know, in almost every case, fermentation makes food safer than it is raw. And raw vegetables are generally very safe, and fermented vegetables are even more safe. And, you know, really pretty much every fermentation process makes food safer as long as you understand the conditions that you need to create.
Thank you so much, Sandor. We were so happy to have you here. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much for having me in your restaurant and inviting me onto your podcast.
Thanks.
I'm
Cut.